Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, good morning. So this morning I'm super excited because I have the infamous Miss Tina Payne. Okay? All right, so Tina,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell the people, okay? Because let me tell you, beast right here. Go ahead, tell them who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tina Payne. I am a registered nurse and business owner, and I specifically help nurses and healthcare professionals escape burnout by transitioning into entrepreneurship by providing them tools and the guidance to launch successful medical scrubs businesses so they can leave a lasting legacy for their families. So I teach healthcare professionals to go from wearing scrubs to learning how to selling those scrubs and making a lot of money doing it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I remember when, it's just kind of first coming on the scene and I saw you and I was like, oh, she's a force to be reckoned with. And I was like, we're gonna cross paths at some point in time. So tell me a little bit about, we always start back where, tell me a little bit about why you became a nurse in the first place, why you even wanted to become a nurse.
Well, I always wanted to be in healthcare. I think I started having the desire when I was a child. I actually wanted to be a pediatrician first, a neonatal pediatrician when I was in high school. That was my original thought process. And then I just loved being, in healthcare. I went to a high school where we had a health profession within our school. And so we had become CNAs and we learned a lot about healthcare. So I learned about that in high school. And then I had, grandparents who, would talk to me about, becoming a doctor. You're going to be the first doctor of the family and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of ingrained to be in healthcare early on as a child. And I just kind of stuck with it. However, once I got to, college, once I went to Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. And after my first year, I got pregnant. And so I ended up going to school for biology pre-med. But after I got pregnant, I changed my major to nursing just because it wasn't going to be as demanding, at least so I thought, while I was a new mom. So that's kind of how it got started.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you get into biology, you get pregnant, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So how did the your parents, like, how did they handle that and how do you handle that?
So, yeah, it was a lot to handle. I was 18 going on 19 years old. So I was still young. I was still basically, wet behind the ears, teenager, whatever. My family actually wanted me to move back home, which was only like an hour or so away from where I was in school. But I was not wanting to do that. I did not want to move back home. I was already on campus. The school actually had family housing on campus. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to stay here in this environment because I felt as though if I'd have went back home, got comfortable, got coddled by my family and did, whatever, I felt like I would not have finished school. I don't think that, at least at the time, I was thinking that I really needed to just stay in that environment and push through. So, but they were very supportive, extremely supportive. And so were my best friends that we all kind of helped each other out. So, but yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's a great point, because a lot of times what happens is we go back to that comfort zone and then we don't move and we don't grow. And
Yeah.
it's just really, really hard once you get, because growth is uncomfortable.
Yes.
When I am comfortable, I know that I'm not growing. And
Mhm.
so I'm good with being uncomfortable. Like, I get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I heard TD Jake say that one time, and I was like, yes, that is it right there. So
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So now you get in nursing school and then you get kicked out of nursing. How do you get kicked out of nursing school?
Right. So how did I get kicked out? So I was in nursing school. I was like I had my daughter in March. I had just kind of got into the program and I had to like reduce a few classes for that next semester. All in all, again, taking that sacrifice of staying on campus, staying there, trying to do everything on my own. I had some, daycare issues. Initially, I was struggling with that, but then I was able to find a 24-hour daycare.
Okay.
I want to say it's Early Learning Tree in Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to them because a blessing. Okay. Um, Finally got a daycare situated. So I ended up having to take my daughter from morning daycare. I would go home, take a nap, homework, get her together, all that kind of stuff, and then go back to class later on. Well, two of my main classes at the time, pharmacology, pathophysiology, they all ended late in the evening. And so every time I had that class, I had to leave before the first daycare closed. Okay. And so I missed a lot of the lecture every class. I had to leave like an hour early because it was a, later class. So basically, after all that time, I didn't do very well on my test because I was missing, that lecture and not doing very well. So I got like D's in those classes, and anything below a C, as you know, in nursing is basically a F, failing. And so you can't fail two classes, and so that put me on, they didn't even put me on any kind of probation. They told me I was out of the program and I had to appeal to get back in. And so that automatically puts you behind a few semesters because certain classes are only offered at certain times of the year. So that was devastating to be kicked out of the program. Now I'm just taking random classes so I can kind of stay in school while I figure out how to get back into the nursing program. So, what ended up happening was myself and my family, we wrote letters, appealing. I got some professors to write me some letters. I didn't have a hearing, but I had to like submit all my documentation of proof of why I should be reaccepted into the program. So this went on for probably 6 months.
Mm.
And so that was a lot of time. And so, I just remember my mom really encouraging me and telling me, because I thought I was going to have to go home. It was just like I had did all of this, God, why is this happening type of feeling, right? And I remember my mom telling me, like, God has the final say. He didn't bring you all the way to this point for you not to be able to pursue your dream of what you want to do. So no matter who's looking at your file, who the decision maker is, God has the final say. He can change the minds of men. And so I just believed that. I had that faith. I would journal, I would pray, I did all the things. And I was able to get back into the program eventually. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, patho and pharmacology are ridiculously hard. And the reality is that I love what your mama said. And I think that, not that I think, I know, when you are in business, faith is huge.
yes,
Like, you really can't move without faith, right?
right.
I like what you said about I did all the things, because people don't think that those things, like the prayer and the journaling and all of that, they
Mm-hmm.
don't think that those things mean anything. But the reality is that those are the things that is walking that faith, because faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 2:20 says that you can
we can sit here, and you did all the things, like you wrote to the administrators, and you were like, look, this is, this is what I want to do. And
Mhm.
you could have just, stopped. So tell me what within you,
Mhm.
outside of, was it your mother, like, tell me what within you said, okay, I'm just gonna go for it, I'm gonna see what's gonna happen. What within you made you want to do that?
Because I was stuck on not being a statistic.
um,
My mom had me when she was 16, and so the fact that I was, a few years older than her when I had my first daughter was, you know, a great thing to her. Like, I'm glad you made it out of, high school. You didn't have a baby in high school, that type of thing. But I still felt a stigma of being a young mom, and I really did not want to have to drop out of school or not be able to finish what I started. So that was really driving me, that I knew I didn't want to give up on myself. I had this baby now that I had to take care of. I didn't want her to grow up one day and think that it was okay to give up. So I just kept going. I just kept pushing. I was very, very, like you said, having that faith. I was I was just focused. I was focused and I did as much as I possibly could. Not to mention I was working as well. It was a lot going on, trying to survive. You know what I mean? I was on welfare. I had a lot that I was trying to do as a young mom while in school. So I just I just kept going day by day. Every single day was like, okay. And I still do this to this day. I'm like, okay, God, what's my assignment today? What do I need to do today? Like, it's just day by day. My faith is just, I just keep going. So,
I love that. We went to the reunion tour last night, and I was telling Tina that, prior to us coming on, that, um, I was making life decisions this morning. Everybody knows my bedtime is at 9 o'clock. And so, we got here pretty late last night. One thing that I love about, just going to gospel concerts and those things is that it really, really just enriches your soul.
mhm,
It gives you the ability to be able to move forward. So I love, love, love the fact that your mother, because at the end of the day, this is a, it is truly a faith walk.
mhm,
I mean, it is truly, and I never understood it. It's just like you put the work in, you put the seeds in the ground, and sometimes those seeds don't come up initially. But
no,
once if you just keep moving, if you just don't give up, a lot of people, they give up when the seeds are in the ground and they don't see them sprouting, and that's where the problem lies. But when
mhm,
you put those seeds in the ground, just know that those seeds are going to come up and they're going to sprout. And if
yeah,
you don't give up, successful people are not super successful because they are super smart. Successful people are successful because they don't give up. And that faith piece is what gives you the ability to be able to not give up. So I love that.
mhm,
So let's talk about, after you, got back in school,
mhm,
were you were married, you got married. And so there were some things that went on within the marriage that, I'm not sure whether you want to talk about that or not, but however, you said that you were depressed.
mhm.
So let's talk about that.
So yeah, I graduated in 2004 and from nursing school, and then right after that, I was engaged and moved to another city 2 hours away, Columbus, Ohio. So still young in my opinion, as looking back on everything. Still very young, and so quickly got engaged, got married a year after that, started working as a nurse at the Ohio State University, Wexner Medical Center. Um, and just going through life, ended up having another child in 2007, and then right after that, 2008. So I had my second daughter, my first son, my second daughter, back to back. And I was working at the time. After I left the hospital, I was working as a hospice nurse. I worked as a hospice nurse for about 3 years, and it was very rewarding. And it was like some of the best nursing, that I feel like I've ever done. just because of the nature of, having to really be there for the families and things like that. But what I did not realize was I pushed down a lot of grief of my own as I was taking care of other people, being strong for them.
Mhm.
And so that on top of having a newer baby, because she wasn't even one yet, I felt like I was having some postpartum that was not diagnosed, plus going through working as a hospice nurse and having all these other things going on and being married. I found myself in a depression. I didn't realize that's what it was at first. Until I was in my room one day. I was laying on the bed, just looking up at the ceiling fan and just thinking, like, I wonder if that could hold me. I
Mm.
wonder how long it could hold me up if I, you know. And so that was scary, even thinking that, um, thinking of me not even being here and wanting to take my own life for what? On top of that, I was back in school. I was in a master's program getting my nursing and education degree. So it was that stress, postpartum, being, on call as a hospice nurse and all those things, all those different layers of things that I was going through and pushing myself into basically because I'm, one of those people is like, if I don't have anything to do, I find something to do. Right. And sometimes that is not the best thing to do, like, especially when you are already going through different transitions, especially chemically with, having a baby and things of that nature. So that I feel like all of that added to the fact that I was severely depressed and did not want to be here anymore. And so after that, I told, I had to tell my mom. It's like once, if I don't tell my mom, it's not real. It's like until I tell her something, because she makes me take action, whether I want to or not. Right. So it's like a few days later, I'm like, Mom, I just want to let you know I've been depressed. I think I've been going through this. Is what I've been thinking. And she's just like, oh, no, you coming home. Pack your stuff. Get, get the kids together. You coming home today.
I love it.
Like, no, you're too, you are, it's not worth, nothing is worth your life. Your children need you and you need to get stable. So after that, I did go back home for about a week or so, just so she could help me with the kids and kind of give me a break and things like that. I went to a doctor, I got on some medication, got stabilized mentally and energetically and things of that nature. And so it was very scary going through that, at first and kind of giving up control. And I stopped going to school. I had to take some time off from that, took time off from work. It was just like, everything that was stressing me out, I had to put on pause, until I could clearly get my mind wrapped around what I need to be focused on and how to handle and cope with stress better and grief better. Um, and so that was one of the major things that's transpired in my life, and also with the hospice piece, this kind of comes after, but I ended up having some very bad anxiety. I was so terrified to go into I ended up being so terrified going into my patients' homes,
Mm.
like to the point where I was in tears before I could even get out the car and my heart would be racing.
Mm.
So yeah, it got really bad. It got really bad.
I love how your mom, your mama is the rock. I see. Um, and I love how she's like, oh no, that's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna move in a different manner. But one of the things I think that we have to understand, especially in nursing, is that, I remember when Damar Hamlin, whenever he fell, he basically died on the field.
Mhm.
Remember them saying, the trauma of that. And I'm thinking nurses deal with that trauma all the time,
Mhm. Yes, we
all
do.
the time. And then we're expected not to, like, we don't have a debriefing point where we can go and we can debrief and we can do those things. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's probably what led to the depression and the suicidal ideations
Mm,
for you.
yeah.
But listen, I love the way that you had that support from your mama,
Mhm.
God on your side. And not only that, you yourself internally said, this is not the way that we're gonna go. We're gonna move in a different manner. So we're gonna go to commercial, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about how you went from being kicked out of school, depressed and suicide, to now being a boss of your own company, okay? Owning your own scrub business and coaching. Okay, we're gonna do that in a few minutes. Here we go.
Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses.
So we back. So now you went from being depressed and suicidal to owning your own scrub business. Now, what made you go into the scrub business? So let's talk about that.
Okay, so there was a lot to lead up to that, but let's see. After I actually ended up getting a divorce, after a few years, about 8 years or whatever. And so I ended up moving back home permanently to Cincinnati. So I had to kind of start everything over in my life. Basically, I actually started with a CNA school first. Um, Fast forward, ended up a couple years later after my divorce, met someone else, got married a second time, and I had another baby, my last little munchkin. Okay. Lord have mercy. That's my baby. So anyway, the reason that I bring him up is because after him is when I had a lot more health issues. Okay. As far as like preeclampsia, even after I gave birth to him, I had to go back into the hospital, pressures almost in the 200s, all kind of stuff. So I had a lot of swelling, circulation issues, and things like that afterwards. And I was searching online for compression socks. Okay. And I came across a website, and at the bottom, because I was also looking for a business I could do from home. At the bottom of the site, it has something on there about buying wholesale, becoming a retailer, things of that nature. And so I started looking into that, like, okay, well, what does that process look like? I need compression socks, obviously. I have to go back to work. I have to be on my feet. And I just had this baby. Let me find out, right? So I started just researching and looking more and just Googling and YouTubing, just trying to find out, what this could possibly be if anyone else has started this type of business selling compression socks and scrubs. And, it wasn't very much information out there. I had to actually call these manufacturers, kind of weed out information from them because they were not very forthcoming. And so that's kind of where the initial idea started from. And I ended up, with 500, maybe $600 buying a case of scrubs and some shoes and things like that to kind of get me started. Just to kind of see what I can do with that, with no knowledge, no understanding of what it's going to take. I just kind of got started from there. But it's more to the story. But go ahead.
That is really good. That's really good because you had nothing initially. Now, I know that you eventually got coaching because I've been in a coaching program with you, but you eventually got coaching. So tell me, because now you're
Hmm.
not only like you have the scrub business, but
Hmm.
you also coach people how to go into the scrub business as well. So tell me a
Oh,
little bit about what made you get coaching.
so like I said, I started like in August of this 2017 with my uniform business. And I just had that. I just began to have the drive and the desire to like do something new and exciting without really having any strategies or understanding of what it took. So like I said, I couldn't find anyone who actually specialized in this particular industry who was willing to share, whether it was for free or for a price, right? So
Mm.
I did get a coach, but it was for sales, it was a sales coach. And so when I got with her and I was looking for her to help me with the actual scrubs business, she was like, wait a minute, you have people asking you about how to get started. So let's see what you can do with like helping other people as well, like simultaneously. And initially, I didn't want to do that. I was against it. Said,
Now
oh,
listen to the coach. Now
yeah,
listen to the coach.
no, I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I came to you for. I want you to help me with my actual business, scrubs business, not start a coaching business. And so it started off, she was like, well, you need to do an ebook first and all that kind of stuff. I did it like at work over the weekend, like on Canva. This was back in the day. And like a whole weekend at night on the hospital computer, I did my first ebook.
Not hospital community. We won't tell what hospital that is.
No, of course not. Of course not. So I had it done by that Monday, by the time I met with her. And she was like, okay, good. I'll put it for sale. But before that, I did do like a survey. I did ask people, were they interested? That's very important. Okay. I did ask to see what people wanted, what they needed help with, because it was like a new thing, like you were saying. It just kind of came out of nowhere. There were a few other people doing the business, but they were doing it in a different way, right? So they were providing the products, but no knowledge, okay, or strategies on what to do next. And so a lot of people were complaining about that. Like, well, we need help. We need a walkthrough of the actual business model, not just the inventory.
Mhm.
Right. So I asked people, in a few different groups, like, well, what do you need? Are you interested, etc. So that's how I was able to come up with what to put in the ebook, because I was able to get started. I did do some legwork as far as reaching out to the manufacturers. I knew, what they told me was acceptable, what the requirements were, if you could get because not everybody can just get approved. So anyway, that was the beginning of my entire coaching. So I started with the ebook, and then people were inboxing me, literally like multiple people. Can you work with me one-on-one? And I was like,
You know what? I had to stop you right there.
yeah.
This is something that people don't really understand what to do and how to do. You
Yeah.
did market research before you even went into the business.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you just said it was market research. You didn't even know what you were doing, I'm sure, at the time, but it was market research. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Absolutely. You got to do market research. You don't want to try to sell something that people don't want. So after that, so that's when, because every time I did something, it was because someone asked me to, basically. You know what I mean? So I said, okay, to the one-on-one coaching. And then that first, I think the month after that, two people signed up with me, paid in full. And of course, I wasn't charging a whole lot back then, but I think I made like $1,600 each. Like it was like $3,200 at the time.
Mhm.
So that was a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was still working as a nurse, and I homeschooled my kids. So I was home, most of the week. So that was really an eye opener for me. And that's really how things got started. And then I just started learning more about my clients as I went, just kind of like what they needed and the different things that I could actually help them with, and saw that they were getting some wins. And I think I worked with one young lady that first year that I started, within 4 months, she had opened up her store, her physical store, and it was fully stocked. And she was already, off to the races. So, so yeah, it's that's how I got started.
I love it because within 4 months. So how long did it take you to get your scrub business up from the ideation to the actual?
It didn't take me long. I would say like 2 or 3 months, but that was just because I didn't know what I didn't know. You know what I mean? Um, and even after it was quote unquote up, I still had a lot that I needed to perfect and do with branding and marketing, and really marketing is like one of the biggest pieces. And then learning how to also, learn about profits and revenue, operating expenses, and all those different things that come along with it. So,
I always tell people all the time, you are a marketer first. I don't care what business you are in, you
yeah,
are a marketer first, no matter what. Because if nobody knows about your business,
nobody can.
you don't have a business. you can't attract what people don't know about, right? And
That
so a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to market, I don't want to talk about this. I don't, no. Okay. We'll sit over there in the corner then. Because I saw you like
Mhm.
going out, with I want to say I saw you first with Facebook ads. Am I correct about that? Did you do Facebook ads at any point in time?
Um, I don't think I had ads yet. No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
start doing ads until like later, years later.
Well, I saw you. I saw you. So if I saw you, and I'm not even interested in the script business, okay, that
Yeah.
means that you had some good marketing going on.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was good. And so
Mhm.
tell us now, what would you like? What advice would you give to someone who is at the bedside,
Mhm.
wanting to move away from the bedside and wanting to start their own scrubs business?
Oh yeah. So I would definitely, first of all, like we were just discussing, doing that market research, because although we know this scrubs industry is over 66 billion plus worldwide, okay, it's a major industry. It's not only what you see like as consumers that's going on in the scrub industry. It's a lot of behind the scenes with government, different corporations and different things of that nature. And there's a lot of room, to do business in the scrubs industry. So you want to do the research on what type of scrubs business you want to pursue, because it's not only about a store or a website. It could be B2B, it could be mobile, direct to consumer. I get a lot of people who think they want to start a scrubs line, meaning from scratch, creating their own. And so you want to first do that research. Okay. So I have a group, and I can probably talk to you about that later, but I have a group where, we do give you some general information on how you can get started. But the research is first. The next thing is business planning. Obviously, the business model that you are wanting to pursue, like I mentioned earlier, whether it's a store, online, or whatever, you want to break down that business model so that you can understand the types of customers and target audience you want. My target audience is not only healthcare workers. My target audience is actually businesses who own, who are healthcare agencies, nonprofit organizations, different allied healthcare companies. So that's my target audience. It's not just the individual bedside nurse. So you want to know your audience. You want to know who you're trying to, market to, like we were discussing. And then, of course, you want to get some funding. You're going to need money. Don't do like I did. Don't start off with bad credit. Do not start off. Know that your personal credit is getting you into the doorway of
Business credit.
obtaining business credit and business funding. And that's not something that I knew. And I wish I'd have known that sooner. I would have gotten further a lot faster. You're going to need money, no matter, even if you start off with money, you're still going to need money. You're going to need operating cash flow, working capital, etc. But you got to know what to do with it. And that's where the coaching can come in. you want to have someone to help you navigate those different things as far as where some of your money should go. A lot of it should go to marketing. But the thing that I get people in my inbox that ask me all the time, and they think that this is the number one thing that they need, is the inventory. Inventory is not hard to get, y'all. Okay? It is not hard to get. That is not the first thing you need. I just told you what the first thing you need. So if you're in my inbox saying, "Oh, can you give me some vendors for inventory?" I already know you haven't done research. I already know that you're not organized or you're not strategic. You have no idea what's going on or what you're doing. So, because that's not the first thing. You know, even before you get the products, you still going to need some customers. That comes before the products, actually.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And and that's so true because I have people all the time, and they fail to move forward, even in the coaching business. They fail to move forward sometimes because of the fact that they think, well, I've got to have this whole product all the way. No, let's sell it first.
Mm-hmm.
The customer, okay, and then once we sell it, then we can have the back end product because you can build that as you go, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On a market from the very beginning. And I love. I mean, because I didn't know scrub business because I'm thinking like they thinking. All I need is some inventory, right? But when you said all these different models, right,
Yeah.
which you can have a scrub business, that is amazing. So listen, if y'all want to open a scrub business, listen, this is Tina's is the person for you. She's solid. Listen, I don't endorse anybody who does not who is not solid. So she's amazing. So Tina, tell people where they can find you.
So if you're interested in getting started, well, let me just say real quick, we've helped over 300 of our students with our blueprint of getting started in their scrubs business. Like I mentioned, we do have different business models that you can niche down and focus on. We have 6 and 7 figure earners within our Scrub Shop Academy. So of course, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to walk in doing those type of numbers. However, the potential is there if you are willing to make that investment and make that time investment in doing the work, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, you can first and foremost go to scrubshopacademygroup.com. When you get there, it's going to ask for your name and email and your number because we are going to send you a free checklist as well as a free download guide to show you 5 ways to market your scrubs business, right? So you'll get that, and you'll also get an invitation to our free Facebook group, Scrub Shop Academy, Profitable Startup for Nurses. So that's the Facebook group. And then on Instagram, you can follow me at Tina M Payne _.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So you guys go follow Tina because she's amazing. And if you want to make 6 and 7 figures, because the reality is that a lot of people don't understand that there's a large number of businesses that fail.
Mm.
And I am sure that I would have failed without coaching. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. But the coaching accelerated how I was able to move and accelerated how I was able to do. And so I will always have coaching. I will always be in professional and personal development. And so that is the expectation of my clients as well. So I love, love, love that. And I can't wait to see. Of course, you're super successful. And I said that we were going to go for 30 minutes. I said, but if it gets good, we're going to go over. And of course, we went over. But anyway, you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. Go follow Tina, and we'll see you later.